At only 17 years old, Ryu Kang-min is already one of the deadliest contract killers alive, and he has just been offered the only reward he has ever truly wanted: freedom. To earn it, he must return to Korea and complete one final assassination. There is no photograph of his target, no exact location, barely anything beyond a single name. With millions of people living in Seoul, finding one unknown person should be nearly impossible. But Ryu has been trained his entire life to accomplish the impossible. His investigation will force him to hide his scars beneath a school uniform, pretend to be an ordinary transfer student, and experience the normal life that was stolen from him long ago. If he succeeds, he will never have to kill for the organization again. But Ryu knows better than anyone that freedom is never given without a price, and this mission already feels far too strange to be what it appears. Tomorrow, his new life at school begins. Tonight, however, he has one loose end to eliminate. Inside a small corner shop in Korea, blood is sprayed all around, covering the walls and the appliances. The perpetrator connects his earpiece to his contact, noting that it's 6 p.m. Korean time, and the target has been eliminated. The contact asks if there are any inconveniences in Korea, and he confirms there are. Since he is a student now, he won't be able to buy cigarettes. Just before this, he was complaining about the withdrawal from not having cigarettes, as he felt like he wanted to suck on a pacifier or something to dull it. If he'd known this would happen, he should have packed his suitcase full when he came in. Back in the day, even elementary schoolers ran errands for their dad's booze and smokes from time to time. Did Korea's warm hospitality vanish once it became such a developed country? Then again, it has changed beyond recognition in just 10 years. It feels like some kind of futuristic city. There are expensive cars everywhere too. He sees a lady get out of her car and can see that the standard of living, along with the environment, even the way people live, has changed so much. Additionally, there was nothing this big before, and by this big, he means this duck. Did it grow along with the country's status? Even if so much has changed, the cherry blossom trees that he knows are still the same. A kid runs by him towards his parents, noting that the giant duck made him want duck soup. The boy stares at this and remembers his own time as a child when he came here with his parents, when he thought the cherry blossoms were popcorn seeds that he tried to eat. His mother told him that they should go to the theater for some real popcorn if he wanted to, as there was a movie he wanted to see, The Female's Professor's Secret Lesson. His father adamantly agreed. Now though, walking through that same street, a bitter feeling aches in his chest, one that he did not think he could feel anymore. Suddenly, his pager beeps, and he scoffs as he doesn't even have a moment to reminisce. Well, he did come here for work after all, so he should get to it. As the evening arrives and the sun begins to set, he makes his way to a supermarket. Well, it's mostly a corner shop really, but he likes it, as this is where real people live. He pops his head in and asks if there is anyone here. Seeing nobody, he immediately makes his way to the cigarette section, but that's when someone else speaks from one of the counters, asking if a student is allowed to smoke. The boy isn't surprised by his presence and notes that he was just running an errand for his dad. His father even gave him his card. He should put it on a 36-month installment plan. The man looks at him knowingly as he sees the card and turns his head back, noting that he is a customer too. The boy apologizes, explaining that he watched a lot of K-dramas while living abroad, so the man looked just like the shopkeepers in those shows. He got a little confused. The man thinks that's a really nice coincidence. He only recently got back from abroad himself. The boy agrees, noting it is an incredible coincidence, and, by pure coincidence too, he worked in the same line of work as him before. The boy cannot finish. The man tries to stab him through one of the shelves, as he knows who he is. A contract killer from abroad. Is he here to kill him, perhaps? The boy is glad he catches on pretty quickly. He is still quite sharp for a traitor to the organization. He pins him by the neck against the shelf before throwing him, noting that he killed members of the organization and fled. He is here to take his life. After throwing him into one of the shelves, the man notes that he saw the card he had. In the organization, depending on an agent's rank, they issue cards of different colors, and among them, the black card is a card given only to the highest-ranking agents. He's never even heard of it. He thought it was only a rumor that an agent as young as him could be issued a black card. The young boy is flattered. Getting a compliment from a senior is quite touching. The man stares him up and down, and asks where his weapon is. Did he seriously come in here unarmed? The boy holds his hands up, noting that it got confiscated by airport security. The man can't believe it. To think that a black rank would be so sloppy to not know their rules. The first rule is to secure a weapon. He breaks off a piece of the box cutter and throws it at the boy, who catches it, and then uses the second rule of assassination. A surprise attack. Doing so from behind. His strike cuts a bunch of produce on the shelves, and cola spills from one of the bottles as the boy catches the man by the hand, wondering why he even betrayed their organization. An agent of his caliber must have enjoyed countless benefits, right? Why did he betray them? The man stays silent for a moment, and then explains that it's just like that tin can behind him. Every single day felt like being trapped inside of that tin can. He switches the box cutter from one hand to the other, retreating for a moment before charging in again. But the boy deflects his blade with the tin can, noting that this is quite a nice metaphor. Did he take a creative writing class at a community center or something? The man scoffs, and wonders if he does not already know. They begin clashing, and the man explains. Just doing whatever the organization orders, living as a hunting dog until the day one dies, is a truly hellish experience. All he wanted was to be free. Their clash continues, the boy's tie being cut at the tip, until they both clash one final time, cutting each other. The boy's been cut, sure, and he notes that in exchange for that freedom, he must have lost something. The man confirms as such, the rim of the tin now etched inside his cheek. The thing that he lost was his family. Once the organization had realized his betrayal, they killed his family. The boy looks at him with a knowing glint in his eye. The organization tracks down the identities of an agent's family, and keeps them under surveillance to prevent betrayal like this. Basically, they use them as hostages. The man charges in once again with half of his box cutter, but the boy simply kicks a bag of flour in his face, dusting the entire area. He picks him up and throws the man onto the ground, telling him that even if he does regret it now, it is a little too late. The man agrees, as he paid the price of freedom with his family's life, but in truth, that was a cheap price to pay. The boy is surprised by his expression and asks, "You knew your family would be sacrificed, and you still did it?" The man tells him, "Here is how it is. Every single one of them, all of them, spout the same annoying nonsense, no matter who they are." This is a store he used to visit pretty often. He has known the owner for quite a long time, but today, of all days, he looked like he was about to collapse from exhaustion. Out of concern, he told him to have a day off, and just rest. Do they know what he said? If he rests, how will he feed his family? He was a truly good man, a dedicated family man, working himself to death for his bedridden wife and young naive children in a tiny tenpyeong shop, spending his life sacrificing for his family, but he doesn't see that, he just sees a damn idiot. The boy asks if that was the entire reason for killing him, and the man says it was just so annoying, sacrificing for family and talking as if he is happy in the first place. He wants to protect his family, doesn't he? With those words, he disappears into the mist of flour, claiming that this is why he's kept going all of this time. That's why he's still alive as the organization's dog, so he wants to give him a piece of advice as his senior. Family is just a leash. With those words, he cuts through the shelf from behind, and rushes through it with a large clank of metal. He tells him, "If I have to live my whole life bound by a leash, then I would rather cut my own throat, just like I have cut yours." However, the boy is completely unharmed by the man's attack, while a cut is clearly visible on the man's neck. The boy is a little annoyed, however, as this blade is too small for that, meaning it cannot cut a throat. Now he must wonder how he did it, right? He should have kept track of where his weapon went. That's the third rule of assassination, to not throw things around recklessly. The man falls to the ground, clutching his throat where a piece of the box cutter is lodged. The wound is killing him. He asks if he's been toying with him the entire time, and the boy disagrees. He only wishes to see if there was any other motive behind his betrayal. This really isn't personal. He means no ill will by it. The man's hand on his throat tightens, and he knows that, to be this relaxed against him, he must really be an agent sent by the organization to kill him. However, the boy says he has it all wrong. The reason he came to Korea is not really because of him. He was just a stop along the way. A nice bonus. The main target he has to eliminate is quite special. Special enough that he will have to risk his life to achieve it. He did say he wanted freedom, right? He hopes in the afterlife he will have that eternal freedom. With that, he kills the traitor and says that it is over. For a sub-target, it really wasn't a bad warm-up. Now he should head to his main target, the true assassination target. There really shouldn't be any issues with the mission, but he does need a new school uniform, as this one is badly damaged. Since tomorrow is the start of the contract killing and his new life at school, the next day, as the rest of the students are continuing their rather boring lives, the boy arrives. Now that he is here, perhaps he could bum a smoke from one of them. In truth, this is just a persona that will let him get closer to his target and eliminate them. 1 month ago, in the Angeles district, at the member of the House of Representatives mansion, the boy had another mission at a private home, but he wondered why a private home had so much security. Couldn't his target just walk into his own grave? This target was the member of the House of Representatives, Manuel Santos. He understood what he came here to do, but told the boy to release his family first. His child was terrified, and his wife was crying, trying to soothe the frightened child. Manuel told him they have nothing to do with whatever is between them, so he should let them go. The boy immediately agreed, pushing them forward, as there is one golden rule. Never harm anyone other than the target unless they attack first. That's his ironclad rule. Anyway, Manuel smiled, thanking him, and then told everyone to prepare to fire. To think he would have such thoughts, such soft thoughts. He must be weak. He's probably not even a B-grade contractor, is he? Manuel was scared, thinking that the boy came from Batala, or some organization like it. Manuel was talking about the Hotel Casino Batala, catering to guests and the wealthy. It is a place for high-stakes gambling, but behind that ordinary casino, there is a special table where one can go to fulfill their wishes. At one point, a man went there and noted that, for a contract like this, they must be quite confident. The dealer told him that the work of their casino is something even the government cannot hope to touch. The man understood that their reputation as the best business in the world was not a rumor then. Is it true that they can kill him? The dealer confirmed as such. Their casino is made up of the most elite of contractors, so he should choose one of these. Depending on the cards, the contractor's rank. The man already knew what the cards represented, so he immediately chose Spade A, which the dealer confirmed was an excellent choice. However, the commission fee is extremely high. The man knew that the pile of gems behind him should be more than enough since he wanted the job done immediately. Naturally, Spade A was the boy who, after finishing his mission and knowing that the killing was done, lit up a smoke, reaffirming his rule. He never harms anyone unless they attack first, but they did attack. Naturally, he left the woman and the boy alive, and he apologized for killing her husband. She should take comfort in the fact that he would pay for his sins in the afterlife. Now, in Korea, the teacher just looks at him a bit strangely, and the teacher realizes that he is the transfer student he was supposed to meet today. The teacher just sighs and notes that he should introduce himself first and then go to his seat. The boy does so, facing the class, noting that it's quite nice to meet them. His name is Ryu Kang-min. He's from Taejun. However, his real identity is Spade A, from Batala, the contract killing organization that sent him to eliminate the target. He enrolled disguised as a high school student. Given just how safe this country is, it's impossible to kill them in an inconspicuous way. He must use his cover to approach the target naturally and then eliminate them without prejudice. Before he accepted the contract, the dealer told him that the target's nationality was South Korean, and they currently resided in Seoul. However, there was one problem with his mission. They didn't know exactly who the target is. Spade A wondered what kind of crazy nonsense that was, but the dealer told him that's exactly what she meant. The only information the client provided was the target's name. Any other details were simply not there. Naturally, Spade A found it quite interesting to have a target with just a name. He's already done his research, however, and done it well. When class ended, he made his way to class 1 to 7, the class of his target. The problem is, the target is not coming to school, so he needs a change of plan. Before he can think of anything, he sees some classic bullying going on beside him, with one of the bigger guys from his class kicking another into the wall for blocking the way. As his cronies leave, the girl notices Spade A and asks if he's all alone. He confirms as such because he doesn't have any friends. It seems that he has just found a plan B. They go to the back of the school, and naturally, Spade A immediately gets a smoke out, enjoying it with a really amusing expression. The others really like him, and the leader asks if he said he moved here from Taejun. If so, does he happen to know Lee Sung-hoon, the top dog of Taejun? Now it was time for Spade A to enter the character of Ryu Kang-min. He says that, of course, he knows about Sung-hoon. When Sung-hoon heard Ryu was transferring, they supposedly drank together. Sung-hoon got so wasted that night he went crazy and smashed the karaoke machine all by himself. The girl finds that funny. She knew he wasn't some ordinary guy though. Was he a big deal back there? Ryu responds, denying this, as they were just friends. Nothing too close. The leader gets to his feet, as he must be pretty tough, so they should be friends. These are the first friends Ryu has made in Korea, so he naturally accepts. In the evening, as the school day ends, and he walks through the school gates, he sees a few boys from the school talking. One is wondering if the other is going straight to the academy, and the other confirms as such, as the shuttle van is waiting. He looks at the one entering the shuttle, and suddenly, memories of what happened in the past as a child begin to surface. He got dragged into that car and driven away somewhere far. When he was finally let out, he was met with a bunch of strange men, who immediately knew what to do with him, to take him to Angelus. If not for that day, would his life right now be real instead of just a role he plays during each different mission? He doesn't get to think much about it because suddenly, the girl from before catches his arm, pressing herself into him, noting that she almost tripped. She reminds him that they introduced themselves earlier. Ryu gets her name wrong, but she's actually Ha-yeon. She asks if he's going straight home, and he confirms as such. He's tired since it's his first day. Ha-yeon understands, realizing he wants to relax. Ha-yeon takes Ryu somewhere else, and he notes that the light is pretty cozy, and the bed is pretty soft as well. Ha-yeon begins to undress in front of him, and notes that that's just how things are here. He can watch TV, and play games, and if he's hungry, there's a bunch of food downstairs. She pads towards him, and ends up on top of him, asking what he wants to do first. But Ryu wonders, is this what they call bullying? As the others from the group begin to photograph him and laugh their asses off in his face, he probably wet his pants already, didn't he? Even the girl begins to laugh, as that was some top-tier acting from her. Ryu asks why they are doing this, and the leader arrives too, noting that this is what he wanted to ask Ryu. When he asked Ryu if he knew Lee Sung-hoon, he told him that story about him drinking until he smashed a karaoke bar. But does he know? Lee can't drink. Apparently, he's had a liver condition since he was a child. The leader called Lee and asked him, and Lee said he had no idea who Ryu is. The leader notes it was pretty obvious since he was looking for cigarettes during class. One of them slaps him and notes that from now on, during every break, he will be their class's automatic door. The girl notes that they should finish what they started, and the boy agrees they should see some of what is underneath his uniform. However, as he rips his school shirt open, they are all momentarily stunned by what they see. Spade A, when he was offered the contract, was naturally reluctant to accept the request, because too many people share that name in Korea. Was she really telling him to kill every single one of them? It was pretty annoying. Once the job was done, he would have to return to Batala anyway. If, at that moment, thoughts of his family held him back, and his desire to be with them grew strong, he might do something he shouldn't. He knows what would happen to his family. The dealer told him not to worry about that. This request is unlike any other mission he's ever carried out. Therefore, Batala offered a generous reward from the organization, eternal freedom. Spade A immediately dropped his gun and asked if she was telling the truth, and she confirmed as such. Once this mission was over, he would never have to come back here. With a mission that could be his last, he must succeed. The bully group stares at Ryu's extremely toned body, not just the muscles but the scars left by battle. He doesn't really have a choice now. He never harms anyone other than the target unless they attack first. Since that's his ironclad rule, he gets to retaliate now with a slap of his own. However, his slap against the guy who undressed him is so hard that it sends him flying to the ground. The plan B he is following is to approach the influential figures in the school and create a persona that would interest them and bait them into attacking him. He apologizes for using so much strength, as controlling it is a little hard. He tells someone else to come forward, as he wants to try that again. 6 years ago, at Kamatayan, an uninhabited private island of Batala, 3 minutes remained in the training. Ryu was underwater, chained up, and pretty unable to escape. One of the instructors asked if he was waiting to become shark bait. At the time, he was trainee number 55, and kept his original name, Ryu Kang-min. The instructor noted that 8 minutes had elapsed. By now the capillaries in his lungs should be bursting. Eventually, he got out. Barely. He noted that he almost became an all-you-can-eat buffet for the resident sharks. He limped to the flag, praying to his grandmother, noting that the grandson she adored, the child she raised, wouldn't join her just yet. He caught his breath, but that's when he felt a gun pointed at his head by his instructor, who noted that the time limit was over by a minute. Ryu corrected his prayer to his grandmother, as it seemed that he would be coming after all. A bang was heard across the empty island, scaring the seagulls, but the shot missed Ryu completely as he put his instructor on the ground, impaling his hand with a flag. He used his surroundings to escape a crisis. That's a very professional way of thinking. He didn't flinch when a gun was pointed at his face either. Was that his final struggle before dying? Ryu noted that the instructor thought he was an idiot, but this was common sense. The first shot is a blank to prevent accidental discharge, a fake, and he knew that from then on, there were live rounds. The real deal. With that, another bang was heard across the island, and this time, it was a real one. Ryu notes that South Korea is a pretty peaceful country, an environment completely different from the hell he grew up in, and his opponents are just high school kids and ordinary ones at that. He can't just go around killing them, so he needs to approach this the right way. His first step is to establish a justification. It shouldn't look like just a one-sided beating. This is a fight they both have to agree to, so he turns his back, gathering the pieces of his destroyed shirt. And then, one of the bullies immediately charges in with a fucking fire extinguisher, aiming to hit him on the head, noting that he should not worry about his school uniform, and he is going to end up in a hospital gown for the rest of his life. However, Ryu stops that attack, crushing the fire extinguisher between his fingers, noting that he does not have any insurance. This is the first step in making an impression through overwhelming performance. He grabs the boy by his cheeks and throws him through the mattress, as he wants the name Ryu Kang-min to be engraved in their minds as a threat. Everyone is shocked to see that the boy was put through the mattress, and Ryu appears before them, having just one question. The girl cowers, noting that he wouldn't hit a girl, and the guy next to her claims he's a girl too, and Ryu doesn't care about their little show, and asks about the other person they hang out with. There's one more, the returning student in the next class who skipped school. He approaches one of them, asking if he knows who the returning student is, and the boy wonders why he wants to know. Ryu wonders if there is a reason he shouldn't know. Hearing this, the boy turns around and starts booking it out of there, as he knows Ryu is going to hit him, even if he gives an answer. Ryu is just terrifying. Ryu intends to follow him, noting that he wouldn't really hit him, not too hard at least. He looked around the bathroom but saw that he wasn't there. The boy was actually behind the door, clutching the hose of the shower. The boy wonders if his acting was pretty good because his dream is to win Best Supporting Actor at the Black Dragon Film Festival. The boy uses most of his strength to try and strangle Ryu, but Ryu simply breaks the shower hose, noting that he's a pretty good actor too, in action thrillers that is. Ryu uses a spinning kick to destroy like half of the bathroom and puts the guy on the ground, as this is step 3, instilling fear deep into their instincts, filling them with terror. The girl screams and runs to the leader, noting that they should run. If they use the electric scooter, they can pull ahead by quite a lot. Ryu comes out of the bathroom and wonders why they're going that far when they could just answer him. The girl slaps the leader on the back, and he goes to open the door that goes into the hallway. He explains that he was part of the Youth MMA National Team Trials. He was a promising prospect, favored to win, with a massive cash prize and glorious honor, and all of those things were right within his grasp. If only he hadn't crushed his opponent's skull. Ryu looks at the doorknob, the leader dented with slightly wider eyes than usual. The leader notes that this is why he is excited right now. It has been a long time since he's fought someone so strong, so they should fight until all of Ryu's bones are crushed, somewhere nearby. The sound they are making can be heard. One guy notes that the sound they're making is pretty intense. It's pretty noisy. The girl he was standing over, however, wonders if he was really just going to sit there and listen. Hearing her say this, he immediately gets flustered and notes that noise complaints are best answered with even louder noise. So right now, they will start making some noise so intense the walls will shake. However, they don't really have time for that, as the leader is sent through the fogging wall into their room by Ryu. This is step 4. Eliminating the leader, and eliminate him. He does as he folds him like a pretzel. Ryu just scratches the back of his head, noting that substandard construction really is a serious issue these days. The sole reason for going through all of these tedious steps, however, is the final one. As the girl tries to escape, he appears behind her, seemingly wanting to grab her. Still, he actually pushes the door open for her, as this is the final step. Mercy. When the terror peaks, he offers a helping hand. She apologizes profusely as she promises she won't do anything like that again. Still, Ryu tells her he wasn't actually planning on hitting her. Actually, he has a simple favor to ask. Out of everyone here, she's the only one who can do this. This is how he wins people over. Make them obey their master like slaves. The girl agrees to do whatever he wants. Ryu wants to know first about the returning student she mentioned. Just what kind of person is he? Somewhere else, in the basement of a dilapidated building, a few thugs are celebrating their new victory. As the coins keep piling up, one of them notes that he knew these freaks would open their wallets for this. That single video already brought in more than last year's total revenue, and thanks to that, they get to eat stuff like this. Whether it's sashimi or people, fresh is always the best. One of them agrees with his boss, noting that just looking at that glossy skin of the fish is absolutely delicious. The boss looks at his phone, noting that downloads are spiking extremely fast. It's practically crashing the site, and it's all thanks to this video. What a world they live in, though. Paying money to watch some guy strip naked and put on a show. Well, thanks to that video, they are making a fortune while staying in this basement. It's nothing short of a masterpiece. One of them wonders. With all this traffic, the cops are bound to track them down. Should they start moving the office? The boss tells them not to worry about it. They got the video through Telegram, and the servers are being hosted overseas. As for this office, they should forget the cops. Even the director of the FBI couldn't find them. However, just as he finishes saying that, there's a knock on the door, making everyone look. The boss tells one of his goons to go open it, and he does, asking who it is immediately. The man behind the door asks about the guy who leaked the video. He's in this place, right? The boss wonders what this blonde punk is on about. He definitely doesn't look like a cop. He asks who he runs with. One of them guesses it's the single gang, while the other guesses that it's the Hyung-suk gang. However, the delinquent blonde tells them to just take the video down. One of them is surprised he has the balls to make demands of them. He suggests he unzip his pants instead because he's just about to piss himself. As he strikes, his co-workers note that this place is gonna reek of piss, so maybe he should take it easy on him. However, that's when a spray of blood silences them, as the one who was attacking has his ears shot off completely. As he continues screaming, the others start to sweat, as they definitely heard a bang. Sure enough, the delinquent blonde pulls out a gun in front of him, forcing him to the ground as well. The others begin to scream as they realize it's a gun, and the delinquent tells them once again to take down the video. The boss almost gets down on his knees to hide under the table, but he realizes that wasn't a real gunshot. What the hell is it? The other goon appears behind the blonde delinquent, screaming wildly at him. As he tries to tackle him, the blonde delinquent simply points his gun backward and shoots him in the head. He tells them to take it down once again. The one who's missing an ear tells him it's a high-powered BB gun. It's still just a toy, so there's no reason to be scared. The last two, the wounded goon and another guy frozen in fear, charge him at once. The blonde delinquent doesn't wear that jacket for no reason, as he pulls out another gun and shoots them both in the head with high-powered metal balls, leaving the entire floor bloody and littered with bodies. Except for one person, however, the boss, who was naturally scrounging up the money from the safe. The boss also wonders how that is possible. What kind of toy gun shatters a skull? He wonders what he should do, whether he should call the police or not. Before he can, the blonde delinquent puts the gun to his head and tells him to take down the video unless he wants to end up like those pigs behind him. The boss understands he just has to delete it, right? He should just pull the hard drive out of the computer and do whatever he wants with it, smash it or keep it. Why is he going this far? Did the victim hire him? The delinquent wonders what he's talking about. That person in the video is him. It's small, but he can see it, and he doesn't want anyone else to see how small it is. With that, he shoots him too with a loud but muffled bang. Ryu goes back to his lodging for the time being, a pretty nice residential house. Inside the house, behind his dresser, lies a deep tunnel with a locked door, his workplace. He has found some useful information about Jong Hyun-soo. He uses a gun in South Korea, where firearms are illegal. That is quite bold, but it's just a modified toy that he's using. A fake. The weapon Ryu holds now in this basement is the real deal and is perfect to take him down with. The next day, Ryu calls all of them to a kids' park for some reason and asks for a cigarette from one of them, who immediately gives him one. He then asks for a light from the leader, who immediately lights up his cigarette and then asks for the ashtray. Heian wonders why he asked them to meet him like this, and Ryu tells them they have to finish their conversation from yesterday about the guy in the next class who doesn't show up. However, he sees that. Upon mentioning that, the mood became somewhat somber, especially with Heian. Did something happen? Maybe with that friend of theirs? At one point, they were at a shooting range, and Heian was missing quite a few shots. Naturally, she chalked it up to the gun, as the zeroing was horrible. She wanted to strip the gun and throw it in the washing machine. Naturally, she found it quite annoying, as she wanted the first prize, that Kokyuri Kochu plushie. Ryu doesn't really get why she wanted it, but that's when Hyun-soo appeared, a student aged 20 by the way, at a nil high school. He had returned to school after an extended absence. He grabbed a gun from her and told her to just watch. She laughed a bit at his stance, and Hyun-soo claimed it was his first time shooting, but before his first shot, she put her cheek on his shoulder, wondering if he was actually going for the plushie. He immediately started hitting target after target. The leader thought that was pretty insane, as the military was looking for talent like him. One of them joked that their national defense was in good hands. Afterwards, Hyun-soo gave her that weird-ass plushie since he got a perfect score. Heian thanked him in the best way she knew how, petting him on the arm, and noting that she would definitely make it up to him next time. Hyun-soo was pretty amazed by this, and as the others walked away, he looked at the gun he was holding reverently, wondering what the big deal about being a good shot is. Well, it doesn't really matter if it gets him things like this.